Hey guys.
We have a lovely audience so far from all over the world.
We got the whole planet representing. So
Wild.
good morning if it's morning, good evening if it's evening, happy Friday if it's Friday, happy other day if it's another day.
What about good afternoon?
Did I miss
I
afternoon?
don't think you did.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. We're Jordan and Lisa.
I'm Lisa.
Yeah, I'm Jordan. And what are we doing today, Lisa?
We're playing one of my most favorite songs.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's called Landslide.
Mm-hmm. It's Landslide.
It's Landslide.
Right, yeah. So it's Landslide by Fleetwood Mac or Stevie Nicks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is a song that has a really sort of neat progression that moves using inversions, and all of the little, well, most of the movements are really nicely kind of close together. Mm-hmm. So there's a nice little sort of skill set here that I think is fun to look at.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions along the way, please do not hesitate to ask them.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to just dive right in.
Okay.
So we're doing this in the key of G today.
That's a great key.
It is a great key.
Yeah.
I love the key of G, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, we've done a lot of lessons in the key of C.
Yeah. We're changing it up, folks.
But we're pushing into uncharted territory. So the key of G, if you're totally new at the piano, the one thing you just got to keep in mind is there's one black key, there's one sharp key.
So the key of G
has F sharp in it.
Has F sharp. So if we play a G scale, all white keys until almost the very end. When we play F, we don't play F, we play F sharp.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a really great idea to play the scale of the key that you're playing a song in before you play the song.
Yeah.
To kind of set your mind in the zone of where those sharps and flats, what the landscape is like.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Ooh, England. Oh, the whole world is watching. So, the chord structure in this song. We're going to be essentially moving from a G to a D to an E.
Yes.
And there's a couple A's thrown in there and a B minor somewhere.
Okay.
But the main sort of three chords that the song starts with are G, D, and E minor.
Yeah.
So the beautiful thing about this is that we've got a root position G. So if you just place your thumb on G and you build a triad, you got G. And then we can get to the D by using inversions and a sneaky little shortcut, because the D, look at, this is how I remember this. This is a little trick. The D is the fifth note of the G scale. And anytime we move from a root position to its fifth, it's the same movement where you drop your thumb and you keep your top note. It's this kind of, whoop, there it is. So G to D looks like that.
Right.
If I were to do that in the key of C, pardon me, same movement from C to the fifth, which is G. It's just a sort of shift down.
Yeah.
So anyways, back to our key. We've got G.
Yeah.
Shifting down to D. Next chord is E minor. Now this is charted as being E minor 7.
Yeah. So what's that mean?
It means you can add the seventh of the E scale, which is D. But you don't have to. It'll still sound good if you don't.
Okay.
Unless you're Jordan. He has to have sevens.
I do have an insatiable appetite for sevens.
He does.
It's my favorite number.
Is it?
No, 11.
11. 7-11. I beat you! Okay, so G.
Okay.
D.
Yeah.
E minor or E minor 7.
Okay.
And then it travels back up to this D. And really, it's just this, like...
So it's a 3-chord progression.
It's a never-ending 3-chord progression.
That's cool.
It is cool. And where it gets really exciting is when we add the left hand. Because the left hand walks down and it carries us so nicely. So I place the thumb of my left hand on G.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play G with my G chord. Now I'm moving to D. And in this case, instead of playing D with my left hand, I'm going to walk down to an F sharp. It's really complimentary. It sounds really pretty.
Yeah.
So this is charted as a D over F sharp. So G, D over F sharp, E minor, and then traveling right back up.
Okay.
So if you can get used to this sort of motion, get your hands working together, you can not only play Landslide, but you can compose some pretty cool tunes. So that's kind of the chord structure.
So in the left hand, really all you're doing in that little bass line is you're basically like walking down like you're sort of walking down just the G major scale.
Yeah.
The first 3 notes of it.
That's exactly it. It's a great way to look at it. So
Cool.
that's everybody's good so far?
I think so.
So what I'm doing is I'm kind of giving you the very basic chord structure, and then we'll talk a little bit about how you can pick out some of the melody
Yeah.
So people are able to kind of identify what it is you're playing. Because if you sit down and do this, they might not know what song you're kind of playing. So here is some rhythm for you. So basically what's happening is I'm just breaking up the chord. Now I think there's no real right or wrong way to break up a chord. Like, so if Jordan was to sit down and kind of play this, he's not gonna do exactly what my hands are doing. It's gonna be the same. So let's show them. So if you were to sit down and play that progression and add some rhythm to it, it's gonna have a totally different vibe than what I just did.
Yeah, well there's a couple ways, like, oops, let me get myself in there. Maybe I might...
Oh, I like that. So you're playing the third in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of starting with my third note as my little anchor.
Doorbell, doorbell.
Doorbell, ding dong. So, you know, you could maybe do that. That kind of gives you a little bit more space, like in in your actual chords, and then you sort of make your little kind of little sparkly thing in between your chords.
I'm using words like sparkly now.
Yeah, it's almost yeah.
That's a victory right there.
Yeah. But really, all that I'm thinking about are what are the 3 notes that make up the chords, and then what's the rhythm. You know, we're in 4/4 time here, so we're kind of counting 4 beats every bar. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
So anything goes as long as you're falling into that.
Yeah, and it depends on, you know, how busy you want it to get, or how.
You can keep this really, really
simple, or you can go totally nuts, right?
Yeah, you can absolutely. There's a lot of directions that you can take it. When you get to the E minor, the song has sort of like an iconic little do do do, and I'll show you how to do that. So if you're in your G, I'm just gonna play solid chords so that you can see how that looks. And then as I'm about to travel back up, I'm gonna place my 4-finger, even the 3 works, maybe even better, and I'm gonna play the B and the C, and then I'm gonna land back here. So I'll show you how that looks. And then I can land maybe on a different inversion of the G.
So it's like a little melody that you can use in the piano part.
It gives us a little melody.
Yeah.
Version is gonna work of any of these chords.
Sweet.
But that's how I play it.
Okay.
Okay. So then we have the chorus. So we kind of come off of this. Can I handle the seasons of my life? So just back to our main chord progression.
Yeah.
And get ready because we're gonna play A is our turnaround chord.
Okay.
So it kind of diverts.
Yeah.
You're looking at this like, what are you doing?
Well, where are we here?
We're here.
We're here. Okay.
And I play the A as a sus chord because when you play a sus, it gives it that feeling that you're not done. You're going somewhere.
Yeah.
And I feel like that leads really lovely into the chorus. And then we head back to D. Well, I've been. And then we go to A over C sharp. So this is exactly the same thing we did at the beginning where we went from the G to the D.
Yeah.
We're going from D to the 5th note of that D scale, same movement. And instead of playing the root note in the left hand, we're just gonna add this beautiful sort of harmonizing sharp in the left. So D, A over C sharp, and then B minor, again with the option of a 7. 7 sounds really cool in there. And then G. And then we get to do this beautiful movement again where we're going from G to D over F sharp, A, and then to our turnaround chord of A. Sorry, I said that wrong. E minor, and then the A. So again, D, A over C sharp, B minor or B minor 7, and then G, D over F sharp, E minor, and then we land ourselves back in this.
So it's a key change when we get to that chorus, right?
Yeah.
It goes from being in the key of G major when we're in the verses, and now all of a sudden we swap and we're in the key of D major.
It's magical.
Because we have that magical extra note. We got that C sharp, and that's what allows you to play those A chords.
And where did it come from? It comes from the different key. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Does the different tempo changes the way of playing progressions? So, does tempo change the way we play progressions? Is that the way you understand that?
Yeah. What do you think? That's sort of a personal.
I think it's definitely very personal. I find that my tempo really affects how busy I might be.
Right.
If I'm playing something slower, I might feel like I have more space to add more filler notes.
Yeah.
And if I'm playing something fast, then usually I stick with more basic chord structures.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd say about that.
Okay. Yeah. I think it absolutely does. I think, like, especially when you're practicing really anything, it'll change how you feel the rhythm. It's almost like an entirely different animal when you have something that's 60 BPM versus 120 BPM.
Very different.
Yeah. So I don't know.
agree.
It's not necessarily like, oh, I would change like what types of chords I'm playing, but you have, I guess, kind of like what you're saying. You have more room to kind of fill things out when you're playing at really slow tempos, and then when you're really fast, you're sort of just like racing through.
I would agree.
Yeah.
So when I'm playing this song, it's usually in a situation where I'm accompanying myself or somebody else. Mm-hmm. But in order to pick out the melody, you want to look at the family of notes in the chord that you're playing. That's usually the first clue. So if your song starts here on a G chord, probably, and there's exceptions to this, but probably one of these notes is going to be the sung note or the melodic note. In this case, it's the D. How do I know it's a D?
How do you know it's the D?
I just know, because my mind tells me.
Nice.
I've heard the song enough times, I can sing it. My rule is if you can sing it, you can play it.
Yeah.
So, took my love and I took it down. So as you see, I'm in an E minor chord now, and the melodic note is within this sort of E minor chord shape. So it might take some picking around until you sort of find how it goes. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, when I first started trying to pick melodies out, I was really clumsy at it.
Yeah?
Like really clumsy at it.
Right.
And now it's hit and miss, but I feel like my instincts have gotten better over the years the more I've done it.
Yeah.
So even if you prefer to use sheet music, I'd really recommend that you learn a basic chord structure like we've shown you today.
Yeah.
And then see if you can't pick out some of the melody. And I like to intersperse melody with just chords. So I'm not playing all of the notes verbatim for the song, but I'm playing some of them. So when people hear it, they're going, oh, that sounds like Landslide.
Right.
And then it actually gives the listener this opportunity to imagine some of the melody, and it's, I don't know, I find that's more interactive.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then I play that little run. Climb the mountain and you turn around. That's how I would do it.
Sweet.
How would you pick out the melody?
How would I pick out the melody? Well, I mean, I'm a huge fan of just listening to music and kind of listening intently to any piece of song or any recording.
Yep.
And trying to find it that way.
Okay.
I come at melodies, especially vocal melodies, not as a singer first and foremost, as a piano player first and foremost. So I'm always sort of thinking about what intervals are being used. Yeah, so I'm thinking about, it's like when you hear a note, any note, try to imagine, what does a third, what does a fourth sound like? Like just try to think about, try to think about like what are the most common notes that tend to be used or what are the most common intervals rather that tend to be used for your melodies.
So if you can pick the interval out, then it'll help you to play it. So if you can, from an auditory standpoint, identify your intervals, you're going to be way farther ahead of this.
Yeah, because melodies tend to work in similar ways across many different songs, just like chord progressions. This chord progression that we're working with today, you know, that's a very common chord movement. That goes all the way back to classical music. That could be the Beatles. That could be, you know, Stevie Nicks. Like it's commonly found. Same thing with melodies. So once you start to learn and listen, just listen to as much music as possible, I guess, because you'll start to integrate ideas.
Interval training and listening and trial and error. It's all of those pieces put together.
True.
And you know what I've been known to do? It's a little bit of a cheat.
Okay.
I've been known to find sheet music for a song that I'm wanting to learn.
Yeah.
And then just look at the top line where the melody is, and then pick out the melody and learn it. And then I'm like, okay, I got the melody. Now I'm going to go back to my chords because this is more comfortable for me. So that's my little trick.
Cool. Yeah. Well, whatever works, you know. There's more than one way to
lots of approaches
to do this. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I know what. I think I know what you're talking about. Shubham, did I say your name right? I hope so. In the song Faded, that's a slow song, but it's kind of an EDM song. So what's happening is we got this like huge build where it feels like the tempo's increased, but in reality there's lots happening from an instrumental standpoint.
Right.
So it would be kind of cool if you set your metronome to find out the actual BPMs of the song, and then played your metronome while you're practicing it on the piano. You'll realize that there's actually less intensity in the tempo. Like, it's not as fast. But if you fill up your space, maybe add some octaves in the chorus in that song to make it feel fuller, it's going to feel like it's moving along better.
Yeah.
That's
sweet.
That's the best answer. Say hi to Ray Torres,
Piano
piano warrior for 20 years.
Piano warrior, nice.
Ray, what kind of music do you love to play the most on the piano?
Battle tunes.
We got friends from the Canary Islands too.
Yeah, we got Canary Islands out. Hey Rick, we got the whole piano.
We got
crew.
the whole clan. This is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So I'd also be interested to know, if you were to sit down and play the song Landslide, would you play the chord structure and sing along? Would you want to learn how to pick out the whole melody? Or would you want to just learn to pick out parts of it?
For me?
Yeah, what would your preference be?
Well, I like picking out I like understanding the whole melody, first of all.
Yeah.
And then, but using that as a tool to adapt it into something of my own.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, so it's like learning the whole song sort of as close to the original as possible.
Adding some stuff to it?
Yeah, but then understanding that, you know, that's just part of the process of developing your own style and developing your own way of playing it. Yep. Because once you know what the kind of original song is to reference, then you can kind of just break it down
Create your own?
you know, build it out or whatever.
Ooh, how do you add
passing chords to a song progression? That kind of reminds me a little bit of like that little like melody that you're using.
Yeah,
right?
I think actually this song provides a great example of passing chords, because took my love and I took it down. Hold on, took my love and I took it down. This D over F sharp is actually kind of a passing chord in a lot of ways. Took my love and I took it down. We kind of need it. These notes are their passing notes.
It's almost like like in the turnaround points.
Yes.
That's where I add that stuff in.
Here, in the chorus, it shows a good moment. So I look for passing note opportunities anytime there's a chord change of a third.
Okay.
So in the chorus, we move from a B minor to a G. And look, B is here and G is here. They're a third or a jump apart.
Yeah.
So that means we have an opportunity to use this A as a passing note. So if we follow our timing rules, so if I've been afraid of changing 'cause I build my... So I'm just adding that A in sort of the space between
Yeah.
the beats.
And also because there's sort of a space between the next main note in your progression, right?
There's a moment.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. Like learning where you can walk down to the next chord. Because when people say passing tone, I guess that's like That's sort of another way of saying it. You're sort of passing through. You're like walking. You can almost use the term walking tones.
Walking tones.
That's a cool term.
I like it.
So that's a great way to think of it. To me, it's like a combination of what Lisa just said, and then thinking about when does the chord progression loop back to the start again.
Ooh.
And then how do you use that as an opportunity to kind of add a little moment that makes it clear that we're back to the start. Right?
That's fancy.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Well, that's like what you're talking about. Like that's a little turnaround, right? That gets you back. If you wanted to not do that, you could just take my love and break it down. You can just kind of walk back up, right?
Yes.
But, you know, you have your...
It tells us where we are in the song. It's a good checkpoint. Yeah, I like that. While singing, you know, I'm going to sing and play this song
Spoiler alert.
in a bit. Spoiler alert. And you'll kind of see how that goes.
Check that. You can see that right there.
There's a microphone. I'm really
hovering in the corner. Look at it. Look at it. Hovering in the corner there. It looks like a ghost.
It's a ghost microphone. So learning to play those passing notes or the walking notes is kind of a dexterity thing.
Yeah.
So it feels like a real hand independence sort of moment when you're doing that.
Yeah.
It takes a few passes. So go slow at the beginning. Once you get the hang of it, no problem. Same thing with singing. While you're learning to sing and play, you want to stick with really simple chord structures and really simple rhythmic structures so that it's not overcomplicating. And then as you get more comfortable, once you can go, I took my love and I took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around. Then you can try adding rhythm. I took my love and I took it down.
Right.
But you have to work your way to that place. It just takes time. Oh, thank you, Kaushik. Did I do it right?
Yeah, thanks. That's very kind of you.
So what about substitution?
Substitution chords.
What?
How can we take them smoothly?
What are substitution chords?
Well, there's a number of ways we can think about that. We can think about that in the fancy jazz way, which maybe we'll hold off on that for a moment just because we're not really working with a jazz song here.
Truth.
But we could think about, oh, I don't know. I guess substitution chords could always be, if you want to get creative with a song, an easy way to substitute a chord with a familiar sounding chord that's also wildly different is pick the relative minor.
Oh, that's a good plan.
Yeah, like, so you could swap your G chord for the E minor chord, and make like, yeah, maybe you could build it up like that, stuff like that.
I took it down. It'd be, I took my love and I took it down.
The other thing.
Changes things.
Let me see if I can explain this.
Okay. Ooh.
So one thing that I'm gonna scooch
I'll
in here.
just scooch too.
Let
Try
me
not
see.
to kick me off the bench
I'll do
again.
my best. I'm doing my best. Okay, so
We just took a gospel turn.
we took a gospel turn. Here's how you do it.
Show me.
So in the original version of this progression, we're walking from our. I'm gonna talk about these chords as numbers here versus what the names of them are.
Okay.
So we're going from our 1 chord to our 5 chord, which is that D, and then to the minor 6 chord, which is that E minor 7. And
Tom uses the 7.
yeah, so yeah, I do. So and remember, so our G major chord and our E minor chord, if you're into music theory, those are relative chords. Those use the same.
They are related with similar.
They got the same
traits.
like DNA because they both use the same scale.
I like to use the. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, DNA.
That's a good word.
What's better, DNA or sparkles?
Sparkles.
That's the debate.
Sparkles win every time.
Okay, so let's think about this. So we have our G major chord, and our 5 chord of the G major chord is D major.
Yes, I'm tracking.
So we can either use this way to walk, this original way to walk down, or
My way.
yeah, or your way, or knowing that E minor uses the same DNA as G major, we can substitute our 5 chord in G major for our 5 chord in E minor.
Oh my gosh, my mind is being blown right now.
Okay, so watch
Sorry,
this.
and I kicked you.
That's okay. So we have G major, and then our 5 chord for the E minor, that's B major, and then we resolve on the E minor. So that's how you'd gospel it, and then you can also make that into a 7th chord if you want to really gospel it. So G major to B7.
We just went Sam Smith up in here.
Yeah. So listen to the difference. Listen to how it's both kind of similar but also different. You can even try singing the melody if you want.
You know what? Oh, I got Sam Smith. I was Sam Smith.
No, sing this.
Okay, fine.
Okay, I'm gonna just like pass back and forth here. Okay,
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I took my love and I took it down.
Now I'm gonna do that B.
I climbed a mountain and I turned around. Ooh, I love that. And I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's got a totally different vibe, but that's a chord substitution trick that I like to mess around with sometimes.
People are talking to us. My throat is not well today. I'm trying to get this cold kicked.
Lisa's been, you've been kind of battling that cold for like months now.
Like a month. Yeah.
Forever.
Forever. Oh, I'm so glad it's making sense, Emily.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is awesome. I never considered this a piano song until I heard the gorgeous rendition by Stacey Kent. We will have to listen to that.
Yeah.
I love how you break it down into tiny bite-sized chunks. Well, I'm all about bite-sized chunks.
Yep.
That's the secret to life.
Truth.
Okay. Perlemingitis. Oh, nice sound on that change. It is a nice sound, right?
Yeah, it's a totally different vibe.
That was a great moment.
Cool.
Left hand arpeggio exercise. What?
Well, maybe we do have some left hand arpeggio stuff coming up next week, actually.
We do.
Just like
Stay
tons.
tuned.
Yeah. Also, check this channel, because I do a bunch of left hand arpeggio lessons and some of the improv stuff as well. So.
Oh, Emily sings it as a soul song. That's cool.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. You should record yourself and send it to us. We'd love that.
That would be
Do we have
awesome.
any people over here? No, we're good. Okay, so I think what we'll do then is if you guys have any more questions, you can think of them and type them in. I'm going to move my vocal mic, my best friend over here.
Get yourself into battle position.
Battle
Lisa.
position, folks.
Are you ready?
I don't know.
I think you are.
Me in this throat. You're going to have to move your legs.
I will. I'm getting there.
You're in my space.
All right. Moved.
Awesome sound on the... You're getting major props for that.
That B major is a cool chord. I owe it all
man.
to B major. Yeah, so try that with any key. Just work with the relative majors and then the 5 chords relative major-minor relationship. It's mind-blowing. It's a deep rabbit hole right there.
So one of the ways that I really learned a lot of the things that I know now is by watching people when they played their songs.
Okay.
So you guys can watch. I'll play the whole song. I'll sing along.
Yeah.
And then you can gather some ideas from what you see my hands do if you want. I took my love and I took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around. And I saw my reflection in the but time makes you bolder. Children get older, and I'm getting older too. Well, I'm getting older too. A landslide will bring you down. There you go.
Nice.
There's Landslide.
Beautiful.
The Lisa version.
Yeah.
The Lisa on the fly version.
Cool. Loved it.
All right. Oh, I do give vocal lessons, actually.
She does.
I do.
Yeah.
Nice to see you, please. Oh, about F-sharp blues scale. You're going to have to come join us on the Pianote member site because we have so many blues scales there.
We actually do a blues lesson this afternoon.
And
That's
we're
coming
doing,
up.
and that's for members only.
That's a members only thing. F-sharp blues scale is a little complicated. Start on finger 2 though. That's all I'm going to say. Finger 2. It's really sweet. It's really fun to mess around with once you understand the motion.
No, don't even start. Okay.
We'll
This is
talk
a
about
whole
it.
other can of worms.
Come join us this afternoon. Check out our site, pianote.com. We have so much stuff there.
We do.
Is there anything else that we want to talk about Landslide?
Nope, I think that about covers it.
That does it, eh?
If you are a Pianote member, then you have access to the chord chart
We got the chord chart for you.
on the site.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. Again, 10 p.m. Or wait, no, this is 10 p.m.
We are.
No, this is 10 a.m. Oh my. Fridays, eh?
Whoa, it's Friday, Jordan. It's
2
10 a.m. on Friday.
2 p.m. This
Pacific
afternoon.
Standard Time.
We're streaming again on the blues, so you can join us there. But if that's all, then thanks so much for joining.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Lisa, for singing that song.
Anytime.
You're welcome.
What?
I don't know.
All right, guys. We'll see you later. Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.